Okay, so some groundbreaking things are happening for journalism in the United States. This is pretty alarming. So, usually people think that the White House Correspondents' Dinner is just some stupid little dinner where they roast the president. But basically, this dinner has been running since 1914. Basically, it's run by the White House Correspondents Association. Those people are the association that usually does credentials for all the journalists that work in like the White House or goes to cover the White House on a regular basis, and they cover the President of the United States. First, earlier this year in like February, for the first time ever, the White House announced that those people, that organization, which is supposed to be independent from the White House, they are not going to be the ones to decide who gets to be at White House briefings and cover the president anymore. So the association whose job it is to do that won't be doing it anymore. The White House will be doing it. And then you could see it now because now you have like people who say that they're journalists, but they end up being like the boyfriend of someone who's like a correspondent, or you have these journalists who are like right-wing media journalists who are like asking those stupid softball questions where it's just there to make the White House look good. If you watch some of those briefings, you'll understand what I mean. Like, you'll have a podcaster who's asking questions right next to the NBC journalist who's asking questions, whose like literal entire career is journalism. So anyhow, that's what's happening. This dinner basically has all those journalists from like CBS, NBC, CNN, like the top people who are covering the White House and the president all year long go to it. Since 1914, they go, they have dinner, there's awards that are given out, there's speeches, and there's a roast of the President of the United States. And Donald Trump, for the first time, was the only president since I think the very beginning of this thing, when they started doing it, he's the first president to miss it in the history of the United States. So he missed it last time. And I don't know if he's going to be going again this year or he's going to miss it again this year. But the White House has come out and said they don't want a comedian doing this dinner anymore. So it looks bad for the Correspondents Association. It looks like they're rolling over for the White House and saying, we're not going to roast the president. We're not going to have a comedian to host it. The host this year was supposed to be one of the comedians from the CNN show, Have I Got News for You? I think that's what it's called. It's like a late night comedy show about news on CNN. And if you read a little bit further on this Rolling Stone magazine article, it's because the White House contacted the White House Correspondents Association and said, do we want this person who's being critical of the government to be doing this? Just give me one sec. Right there. So if you read it, it says, according to Variety, the decision to drop Ruffin arrived after White House Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budovich, I don't know how to say Budovich, rose concerns about the comedian's criticisms about President Donald Trump. And I don't know if you can see that, but I'm standing in front of it. She basically said that they're a bunch of murderers. I mean, that's a pretty big criticism to call people a bunch of murderers. But I don't know what the context of that interview was. So because of that, reaching out to this Correspondents Association, they've dropped the host of the dinner. So I don't know, is the dinner going to still happen? Or are they just going to send people stuff in the mail? Pretty shocking that this is happening. Why did they choose her if they had such a problem? Why couldn't they choose somebody else to be the host? I wonder what the fallout from this is going to be.